Hello, welcome to another edition of DIG Sports. I'm Andrew Alexander alongside DIG Sports editor Trey Mongrue. Trey, it's Cowbell week. Clanging, clanging, clanging. The Dogs are coming into town to take on the Tigers in their conference opener. You know, the Tigers haven't lost to the Bulldogs since 1999. A great year. You and I are both in elementary school still, and some exciting things happened, not only in the world of sports. Cher's Believe was the #1 song. Shakespeare in Love won the Best Picture. Bill Clinton was acquitted of all of the perjury charges. Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, and John Elway all retired. The U.S. won the Women's World Cup. Lance Armstrong won his first Tour de France. The Y2K bug was going crazy. My personal favorite, gas was only $1.30 a gallon on average around the nation.
Ouch.
Times have certainly changed elsewhere, but much hasn't changed in this series. The Tigers lead the series 71-33-3, have won the last 14. But Trey, before we go any further with the Bulldogs, through 3 games, LSU, undefeated. They're coming off a big 31-0 win over UL Monroe. What have you seen through 3 games of this team that you really like?
You know, on the surface, it looks pretty good. 3-0, like you said, but also the defense is holding teams scoreless. You know, the last 31 possessions, no points. And in that same time span, the offense has scored 108 points. However, entering SEC play, there's obviously that step up in competition, particularly in the trenches. And you look at LSU's offensive line, it was thought to be one of the strengths coming into this season. They've been having a tough time against some lesser teams. On the other side of the ball, you're still waiting for a guy to step up on the interior line to fill out that 2-deep depth chart. You got Lockature, you got Quentin Thomas, and you got Devon Gottschalk. Frank Herron, Greg Gilmore, McQuaid Discman, one of those guys has to step up and shore up that line.
And the LSU defense is going to be facing a pretty formidable offense that the Dogs bring into town. They're 3-0. They've beaten Southern Miss, UAB, and South Alabama. And they're led by Houghton, Louisiana native Dak Prescott. The guy has almost accounted for 1,000 yards himself this season. And I gotta say, this guy can run, he can pass, he can catch. Trey, this guy really can do it all. How many problems can this guy create for the Tigers this game?
I think it's gotten to the point to where you're never really going to fully stop Dak Prescott. The guy's too talented, and he's got so many tools and weapons that he could beat you anyway. You sell it on the pass, he'll get you with the run. You contain him on the run, he'll throw it. However, LSU's strength on defense is its secondary, particularly when they go in that Mustang package on defense. They have 6 defensive backs on the field at the same time. And with a spread offense like Mississippi State, that's the best medicine you can have.
Without a doubt, we saw the Tigers contain Johnny Manziel and the high-flying spread offense of Texas A&M for back-to-back years. So, hey, who knows? Formula's worked before, it might work again. The Tigers, offensively, have been pretty explosive through 3 games. They've shown some high-flying acts. Trayvon Durrell's catching the deep ball. Anthony Jennings is looking good. The emergence of Darrell Williams is something probably fans didn't expect from that freshman running back. Definitely Leonard Fournette, but not Darrell Williams. What have you seen that you like through 3 games from these Tigers?
I'll admit I'm a bit bullish on Anthony Jennings. You know, in the first 2 games, we saw him use his feet solely to run out the pocket anytime he felt any sense of pressure. Against ULM last week, yes, he did throw his first interception of the season, and that was a play where, you know, it was a young mistake there. However, he also did, instead of just being flush out the pocket, he bought time with his feet, stayed in the pocket, and hit the open receiver. I think you're seeing him mature before our eyes, and I think that can only mean good things for LSU going forward.
Trey, the Tigers will be facing quite a formidable defense this week as the Dogs bring a really tough, nasty defense to Baton Rouge. Dogs 3-0, obviously, and their defense is a big reason why. They're 2nd in the SEC in sacks, 2nd in interceptions, and they've got a pretty tough front 7. Trey, what kind of problems will they present for the Tiger offense this weekend?
Yeah, that Bulldog front 7 is a mixture of talent and experience. And anytime you get those 2 things together, you're going to have something special. You just look at their interior line to start. Guys like P.J. Jones and Caleb Ewells. Between those 2, over 30 starts combined. They know each other well, and they're going to pose a huge threat to the LSU offensive line that's struggling a little bit like we mentioned earlier. Should LSU be able to get to that 2nd level of defense, you look at a guy like Benardrick McKinney. That guy's going to be a first-round draft pick as a middle linebacker going into the next NFL draft. We've seen in these first 3 games that LSU is a team that, to have success, they really need to establish the run, and this will be by far the toughest front 7 they'll face.
Trey, as the Tigers enter SEC play, who's going to be an X factor for the purple and gold this weekend against the Bulldogs?
I think you have to look at Trayvon Durrell just because you look at the teams that have had moderate success against Mississippi State in those first 3 games, particularly UAB. The way they got some yards on them was through the deep ball. And as we've seen through the first 3 games for LSU, Anthony Jennings and Trayvon Durrell are pretty good at doing that deep ball.
Trey, before we get out of here, what's your prediction and why?
I say LSU 24-17. They score a late touchdown. It's going to be very interesting to see how that run game does against, like we mentioned earlier, that Mississippi State front 7.
I'm going to say 38-17. I think the Tigers pull out a big one, have a good, big late 4th quarter. For DIG Sports, I'm Andrew Alexander. This is Trey Mongrue. Hey, enjoy Cowbell week, y'all.